Can you hear me? All right. Thank you. I'm going to try and get through this without either losing my voice or having to have a coughing fit. So I apologize in advance. But so thanks for having me in tonight. Like Dr. Griffith said, we were selected to assist Dakota State with the site selection process and with programming for this building. And that's really as far as we've taken it to this point. So we started in January and kind of wrapped this up about a month ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that. So the presentation that you'll see is a briefing of that process and kind of the steps that we went through and what the conclusions are. So site selection for the Madison CyberLabs building is kind of what we were tasked with here. So first thing was to identify potential sites. So we looked at all areas in and around campus that were potential sites, and we identified those 6 sites there as opportunities. And so they include site number 1 is East Hall site. Site number 2 is the Beetle Hall kind of Kennedy Center front area. Site number 3 would be the current Lowry Hall site. Site number 4 would be we deemed it the hospital parking lot site, but there was potential that would have to maybe expand and gain some additional property. Site number 5 was north of that, kind of along 9th Street and Washington Avenue. And then site number 6 is what we called the Dakota Prairie Playhouse site. Then there were a couple of others that were identified that if nothing else worked, maybe we needed to look at option number 7 and option number 8, but we didn't get that far. So from there, what we did is we reviewed existing data, and that existing data was things like the historic district, the floodplain, kind of, you can see the list there, current utilities, parking, infrastructure, connectivity to maybe the steam plant, those kinds of things as the criteria that would be established for selection of this building. And then by that matrix, everyone was tasked with creating what they thought was the proper, is this an excellent site or is this a not good site? And we did that independently and then compiled all the data. So the results of that, sites 1 through 6, it was pretty evident that there were 2 clear front runners, and so that would be site number 3 and site number 6. So site number 3, if you remember, was the Lowry site, and site number 6 was way north, north of the Playhouse. So from there, we kind of looked at pros and cons for each one of those sites. So if we're looking at site number 6, some of the pros that we identified were that it's a clean site, so it's virgin soil essentially, and there's room for expansion, but expansion was not necessarily a priority for this project. This is kind of one of those projects that it's done once, it's done well, you don't anticipate that you're going to have to add on to it. Some of the negatives that we identified were it's not really a gateway to the campus, and it is a distance from the campus core, and utilities was kind of one of the more bigger concerns because there just isn't connection to campus utilities at that site. So site number 3, the Lowry site, 224 points. Pros and cons there. Pros are that it is a potential gateway to campus, and there is potential that we could create a wow image. And with the other work that's going on campus, maybe this is the other bookend to some of the work that's going on the east end of campus, and the ability to do that with the design of the building. And then one of the real positive things is that it is able to connect to the campus utilities. So whether that's the steam or the IT network, there's some real benefits there. Some of the not so great aspects of this site. It is in the historic district. However, it is not a contributing building. Lowry is not. So the floodplain does intersect, and you can kind of see, it's hard to read on here, but the red and the blue lines are the floodplain and the floodway. The existing trees would be a potential issue. And then steam line issues with the existing Lowry building. There's some things that need to be upgraded. So whether or not the project would go there, there's some infrastructure that would need to happen. So really, this is kind of what we came up with was the Lowry site is really the best site. And for the reasons of location, it is the closest to downtown Madison. It can define that southwest campus entry point. It does fit, the building would potentially fit on the existing Lowry site. Again, the Lowry building is not a contributing factor in the historical district, and the floodplain issues can be handled fairly easily by raising the floor level of the new building. The infrastructure works out really, really well on that corner. And then one of the requirements for all state projects right now is a LEED Silver accreditation. And that really comes down to conservation and stewardship with resources. And part of that is if you can use an existing site and redevelop an existing site instead of a virgin site, you get more points for LEED accreditation. So that actually works into the favor. And with that, that's all I have. So we're very excited to be on the team. We're excited about the next steps. This is about as far as we've taken it, and we're anxious to hear back from the Board of Regents. So.
Oh, sorry.
Is the size of the proposed building about the same size as Lowry?
Oh, no, it's larger. The existing building is 14,000 square feet.
Roughly 6,000 square feet on the floor.
Yeah, 12. It's about 12, and we're proposing a building that will be close to 40,000 square feet. The location where you actually had the box on the thing is probably not going to be that close to the corner. It's probably going to be tucked a little bit further up, so that minimizes the impact on the green space there. But we believe what we wanted to do was take a look at the footprint and see what could be sustained. What I should say for people for whom this is one of the first meetings you've been at, the facility is intended to be used for research and applied research in the cybersecurity arena generally. So there'll be faculty, there'll be graduate students, there'll be some undergraduate students if they have clearances, and there'll be work of that kind going on. And the idea is it's part of the it fulfills one of the goals of the Board of Regents of research-based economic development. So the intent is that this will not just facilitate work going on campus, but it will create jobs and bring economic development opportunities to Madison. Yes.
I'm trying to determine how I can answer your question without looking like I have a huge ego. How's that? So JLG as a firm has 28 years of experience. Our backbone of our history, kind of our portfolio, is higher education. And so we teamed with a national expert on the cybersecurity side. And so the combination of JLG Architects with this national expert really kind of brings that expertise together to make this, we think, a very high potential, awesome project. And it's really exciting to work on something like this because, as I've been told, these kinds of projects are kind of on the coasts and not really in, middle America. So this is a great opportunity. So we are. Yep.
In fact, we've selected our construction manager, Journey, who are working on the construction of the other facilities here right now, so we know them quite well. And they also have cybersecurity expertise on staff and through subcontractors. So we actually have quite a substantial nationally recognized cybersecurity design and construction team working with us. Good question. Yes. Good question. It does look as though we're only going north, and we certainly have been engaged in conversation. The mayor and I sit on the Lake Area Improvement Corporation, the Economic Development Board, and we both have volunteered to be on the Housing Committee, and we're looking at how Madison can expand and in which directions. So one of the things we want to do as we look at the future of DSU is we don't want to sort of get DSU completely out of sync with what's going on in Madison. We have to sort of grow together, so that relationship becomes really important. So we're working on this. We've just started looking at master planning for athletic facilities at the moment. That's where we're at. And then we're looking at all kinds of possibilities in all kinds of places around town that will help accommodate the students, faculty, and staff of the institution. Just don't have anything specific yet. Conversations are going on. Well, that's a good question, Pat. Cybersecurity. It is. It's really a variety of different sub-disciplines associated with both preventing attacks on information technology-based systems. And there are elements which are a little bit more aggressive and assertive in terms of attacking outwards, right? So they're now beginning to talk about cyber defense and cyber offense, just to try and clarify between the two. But we have programs in network security and administration. There are all kinds of vulnerabilities in the cyber environment that is emerging. One of the big pieces, we believe, of our Madison Cyber Labs will be associated with the Internet of Things. All these devices that we have that are connected to the internet in unsecure ways. And how do we ensure that when you're connecting a device, your phone, your home security system, your car, your baby monitor, that you're actually doing that in a safe and secure way, and you're not allowing other people to use your technology as a conduit into the environment so they can do bad things. So it's a whole variety of things. And I think the projections are there are a huge number of jobs going to be created. Federal government is creating jobs. The military is standing up not only military units, but civilian units in cybersecurity. And then, of course, the commercial sector needs to protect its work. And to some extent, nonprofits are going to have to start making some protection, or otherwise there'll be the vulnerabilities in the network. So we hope that with the numbers of students we have, a gradual evolution of programs that we plan through our master academic plan, and the facilities that we'll have here that will attract faculty and students to actually engage and be at the cutting edge, so that when they go out into the workplace, they're able to take a lead role. And one of the things we saw when we mapped where are all the cybersecurity companies in the United States, and we saw they're, you know, literally around the edges of the country, maybe we could create a hub here in the middle of the country, and we could serve a larger portion of the country than just locally, and that's part of the vision. That's why we don't want to build a small building. We want to build to the footprint, as you know. If you don't build to the footprint, it's hard to get that next building. So if we build a larger building, we can accommodate more and hopefully make an impact, make a big impact. Two stories. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's your question.
If I understand your question correctly, are you asking additional floors? Is it cost prohibitive? Typically, you don't want to design that into a structure unless you know for sure that you're going to do that in the future. A two-story building is very efficient, especially on a smaller footprint site, and trying not to disturb any more of the existing surroundings than is necessary. So we feel that this, scale and scope of this building fits this site very well.
If this is approved by the Board of Regents, do you guys have a projected timeline as far as the project goes?
Well, we were talking timeline today. There are a lot of pieces that have to fall into place, but getting this approved, accepted, and moved on by the board will be the next big step. So we're taking it one step at a time. There are lots of factors, including the need to get the money. Okay, not a small task, but we want to make sure that we have the, we're ready to go if and when we are able to raise the money. $18 million. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we have some plans. We're discussing about parking. I know that it's an issue, although I have to tell you, you're pretty well off here. I know it doesn't seem like it, but I've been at campuses where you really have to walk a long way. But we're always mindful of this, and how can we accommodate parking needs of people coming onto campus? And it's all part of that sort of smart growth strategy. We don't grow for the sake of growing. We want to grow very deliberately. We want to make sure the services and the infrastructure, and we're able to accommodate the people, etc., is all part of how we're moving forward with our planning. So we're not just saying we're just going to do this. It's, gosh, how many academic programs are we having? How many students do we think we'll attract? How many faculty will come because we've got the facilities to accommodate the research? And then where are those people going to live? Where are they going to park? Where are they going to do their work? Yeah, but we're also planning, some of the jobs will be on campus, and then some of the jobs will be elsewhere in the community. So both are likely to happen over time. Any more questions? Well, I thought so too, but I didn't vote. I didn't rank and vote. So but it seemed to me that it's closer to the core of campus, which gives access to the students and the faculty. It's on a slightly quieter end, which is what you want. This is not going to be a highly trafficked building. It's not going to be people walking in and out all the time. Beacon is going to be a highly trafficked building. So it just made some sense, and I hope we wanted everybody to know before we went to the Regents, just so that we can say we had a campus community hearing. Now we've invited the public to come in and see, and we'll inform you as we get through the detailed design what we'll be doing, how it will fit in with the environment around, to keep you all informed. There are quite a number of faculty who are talking about where it should go. and different locations. So we will want to keep it, and we'll want to put it in a place where it has a certain visibility, so we could see people coming and having their picture taken with the general. So yeah, exactly where though is more Stacy and Corey's purview. As it, yeah. Well, that's a good question. Yeah, it's certainly a possibility. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, good. Well, it's important. I think the relationship between the community and the university is important. And we need to do this. We need to move into the future together, because if we can't do it independently, it won't work. But thank you. Okay. Well, thank you, Dave and Sarah, for being here today. It's been a long day. We've been talking about all sorts of things. We appreciate it. We'll let you know how things move along, and as I say, we'll post other forums when we get some things to show you, some renderings and ideas of what we're doing. Okay, thank you very much.